Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about The Black Phone. And this movie came out in 2022, and it's directed by Scott Derrickson, the same director as Doctor Strange and Sinister. And I remember liking Sinister. I haven't seen it in a long time, but from what I remember about it, I remember it positively. And overall, I came away with mixed feelings on this movie. There were parts of it that I liked, parts of it that I didn't really like. And the first 20 or so minutes of this movie was kind of rough for me to get through because it was just a bunch of nonsense and I just didn't care about anything that was going on. Everything just felt so forced and on the nose, and I just couldn't stand any of it. And if I was not watching this movie to review it, I would have shut it off, to be perfectly honest. And it wasn't until Ethan Hawke came on screen where the movie got better, because I think he works pretty well in the movie. And also, that's when the plot of the movie actually starts in the film. We get some substance. We have a purpose as to why the movie is moving along now. And I was like, finally, here we go. And there were a couple characters that were kind of interesting and likable. I didn't hate the two main leads, and also Ethan Hawke. He was easily the standout part of the movie, obviously with him being the main villain. But the child acting wasn't bad at all in this movie, in my opinion, or at least there wasn't a particular moment that really stood out and made me feel as though I was not believing the performance. And the movie was nice looking. It wasn't terribly shot, and I liked that much about it. This is one of those movies that got better as it went along, as in things started to move along once we had a plot going on, kind of, I guess. But even when we do get to the plot, there are just some things that don't really make a lot of sense. I did appreciate that this movie didn't rely on jump scares as much as I was expecting. There were a couple for sure, but to be perfectly honest, it felt a bit more restrained than what I was expecting. My biggest problem with this movie is that there are so many things in this movie in the first 20 minutes that don't need to be there. Drunk dad doesn't need to be there. The sister who's a psychic character doesn't need to be there. She has a decent amount of screen time throughout the film, and I just felt as though her inclusion was completely unnecessary. And if you cut her character out of the movie entirely, the movie would be no different in terms of how the outcome would have happened. There was some poor CGI in this movie that just didn't look convincing. That's kind of a small thing for this movie because it didn't really use it all that much, but it was noticeable when they did use it. There was also an action scene in this movie that just made absolutely no sense in terms of how it was pulled off, and characters are just teleporting, and I just don't understand what's going on in that scene. It just felt pointless, to be perfectly honest, and honestly, I just didn't really get much out of this movie, even when Ethan Hawke came on screen, because before him, it was just cringe and bad, but after the point when we got him, it was like, okay, this is better, but then it just stays consistently fine, where I didn't really feel scared. I didn't feel like I was getting much out of the experience. It was just fine. I didn't hate it. It is what it is. And I have nothing to really say about it. And there's a couple of other things that I can talk about, but I don't want to really spoil this movie. And the only reason why I watched this movie is because there's a sequel coming out, and I was not expecting that. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll check this movie out, and I just thought this movie was fine. And after watching the trailer for the second movie, based on the trailer, I haven't seen the actual movie yet, but just based on the trailer, it kind of feels like it's kind of going for a Nightmare on Elm Street vibe thing, kind of. That's what I kind of felt while watching that trailer, and they're trying to make the Grabber character, played by Ethan Hawke, into Freddy Krueger, in a sense. But who knows where it's actually going to go. So that's just my thoughts on the trailer, and also some sinister vibes. So while watching it, obviously with this movie being the director of Sinister, there were just the film parts that were used in both that trailer and in this movie, most notably in the opening credits. I was kind of thinking of Sinister, and those choices were kind of interesting to me. And there are things to like about this movie. There are things that I appreciate about it. There are things that I like about its presentation to a certain extent. But overall, it just wasn't a movie that impacted me or is that memorable. And I don't think I'll ever watch it again. I'll check out the sequel, but who knows how that's going to go. So with all that being said, I'm going to give The Black Phone a 5 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below your thought of The Black Phone, and my social media links. They will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Ponyo. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.